Greetings and welcome to this edition of
Positronic.
I'm Barry P. Cook. I'm here to talk to you about the latest episode of Harley Quinn Season 3. It was called Joker, The Killing Vote, which of course is a takeoff on The Killing Joke, which was a story within the Batman comics universe, which included the shooting of Barbara Gordon by Joker, which didn't in fact kill her, but which paralyzed her from the waist down, after which she became Oracle. As the episode begins, we find Joker on his way home from grocery shopping, at which point he's accosted by Batman. Only it turns out that Batman isn't Batman. It's some woman from his kid's school busting his chops, dressed as Batman, and he's having a nightmare, from which he soon wakes up, and we see that he sleeps with a CPAP machine. We also learn that in previous nightmares of this type, the woman has cut off his and served it up at a book fair. We're then treated to what would be the opening sequence of a Joker sitcom, were there a Joker sitcom, in which we see him doing dad stuff and which closes with the phrase, "Wait till they get a load of us," as the last lyric of the theme song, meaning, I guess, his family when they say us. And of course, that's a rip on or callback to a Jack Nicholson line from 1989's Batman.
Wait till they get a load of me.
We then see that Joker is invested in the education of his adopted kids, and that the woman in his dream is apparently a bit of a Karen. We then see that the Joker is invested in the education of his adopted kids, and that the woman in his dreams is apparently someone he knows in his waking life. And it turns out she's a bit of a Karen, despite the fact that her name is Debbie. We then see that Jim Gordon has spent his campaign money, or some of it anyway, on some ill-chosen campaign-branded merchandise, as well as that his opponent in the election, the current mayor, has died from his wounds incurred during a previous episode, which thrills the Gordon camp because it means Gordon's running unopposed. Apparently, whether or not Joker's adopted kids, who are Hispanic, get into the dual immersion program at school is a bit of a sticking point with Joker, especially because the woman Debbie's kids got in and they're not Hispanic, which his adopted kids are. After a conversation with her that doesn't go well for Joker, he decides that he's got to fight fire with fire, as it were, more directly by running for mayor so that he can better look out for his adopted kids and apparently the citizens of Gotham, specifically those who need mental health treatment. He announces this by engaging in a mock bank robbery, but then his henchmen kind of actually robbed the bank, or at least one of them does, so I wasn't there on that whole thing in that particular moment. When Gordon expresses dismay at the fact that he's being opposed by Batman's arch enemy, while simultaneously being, in his view, Batman's best friend, Barbara expresses support for Joker's candidacy because of his policy positions, and says that if her father is going to win, he has to come up with good policies, not engage in more theatrics, as Two-Face would have him do. And it's still weird to me that Two-Face has gone straight. So, I mean, Joker has gone straight and he's gone straight. It's a little weird. Anyway, Joker holds a big campaign parade during which he launches money at the crowd from t-shirt gun type guns. One of his henchmen still doesn't seem to get it, and for some reason shoots one of the other henchmen with a gun. So I guess that's why they showed the thing at the bank where the henchman doesn't get it, because it's supposed to be a running joke. Anyway, Two-Face takes Joker's kid hostage and calls the Joker to let him know while he's in the middle of the parade, which comes to an abrupt end as he drives this giant cake float thing through the streets of Gotham, toting a giant overhead balloon to retrieve said kid. Apparently, Two-Face plans to give Joker an ultimatum to drop out of the race, or he's going to hurt his kid by sending him on a ride on a very much dilapidated roller coaster at a Gotham amusement park, or an abandoned Gotham amusement park. It turns out that the mayor didn't die from his injuries from the previous episode, but that he was poisoned by Two-Face. Joker shows up and agrees to quit the race in order to get his son back, but Two-Face sends him and Joker on the ride through the broken roller coaster anyway. It turns out that he wants to be DA again, as well as apparently a crazy person simultaneously. I don't know. Gordon shows up and ends up going on the roller coaster ride as well in an attempt to rescue Joker and the boy, which he actually manages to do. When Gordon then attempts to kill Two-Face, Joker stops him, and Gordon actually decides he's going to drop out of the race himself. Two-Face then gets up and almost shoots Gordon, but Joker's girlfriend shows up and runs him down in her minivan. We're then treated to sort of a Joker victory video in which we see that all the participants are made up as Joker. So it's like a big, hey, I'm the mayor now, and we're gonna do great things type of video. And some of the people in the video, the citizens of Gotham, are wearing Joker face. It's kind of funny. Just before the episode ends, Harley and Ivy finally show up after having been away for 4 days at Mardi Gras or something, and are surprised at the developments that have occurred in their absence. And that's where the episode then ends. I didn't think this episode was very funny. I don't like this version of the Joker, even though I love Alan Tudyk. And I wish it had actually been about Harley Quinn and not the Joker. I thought this was a wasted episode, and that's really all there is to it. There's not a lot more to say. It shouldn't have been made, in my opinion. It wasn't very funny. There's a couple of jokes where you go, haha, but that's about it. And the best thing from the whole show, which is Harley Quinn, was completely absent. I don't even think she says anything. I think the only line that occurs when she's in frame is a line that Ivy says, and she says something like, geez, we're only gone 4 days. So, you know, KAYLEE CUOCO got the day off, I guess, or the week off that week, but not a good episode. And I'm finding at this point, because we're more than halfway through the season, that I don't actually enjoy this season as much as previous seasons. I thought the first couple of episodes were very good and very much like the previous season. They had a lot of CLAYFACE and some Shark King, which I thought were a huge part of why season 1 and season 2 were so great, in addition to Harley Quinn. And season 1 actually had that other character whose name I forget, the mental guy, the little short guy that can do things with his mind. He was very funny. He's not in this at all so far this season. Frank has been very funny in the first 2 seasons, and he's barely been in it. And, you know, that's the other thing. They left the previous episode on a cliffhanger. And so then to just throw this episode in is like, what? I didn't think it was a good choice. Didn't like this episode, and there's not really much more to say. I hope next week's episode is better. I'll be back to give you my thoughts on it. I'm going to take off for now until I return. I wish you peace and long life.